Okay, let's talk about the rake edge. The rake edge is the edge of the roof where you see the angles of the roof slope. That's what I'm referring to as the rake edge. So the way the rake edge detail is fitted is we use the inner gable. Now here's a small piece of inner gable that I've cut, but inner gable comes in a 10-foot length, as you can see going down the roof here, and it also has the water lock on one side, and it's got the giant J-channel look to it, and it sets on the roof like this. So my water lock is on the inside of the roof. So here I've got a piece of installed inner gable. The water lock's here. I'm going to fasten it in here with my grommeted screws, and any wind-driven rain that gets blown in here just washes down to the bottom and comes out the end. That's why it's important to overlap these pieces, just like I showed you with the W-valley, by opening up the water lock, fit one piece inside, close the water lock back up. So once my inner gable's in place, I can go ahead and start running tile panels. Now, when I'm starting a roof, if I'm starting at the rake edge like this, I push the panel all the way into the inner gable and fasten it out here on the leading edge. But if I'm terminating into an inner gable, in other words, if I'm working my way across the roof and I get to the end of the roof and I'm finishing here, then in order to hold this panel in, because I no longer can get at my nail flange, in fact, I probably have cut the panel lengthwise to fit the last strip of uncovered roof, I have to somehow secure this panel in place. And the way that's done, I lock the panel in and I go to the top of the barrel and I take one of my pan head screws, not one of my grommeted screws, but a pan head screw because the outer gable has to fit over it, and I fasten down through the inner gable into the top of the barrel, and that's what holds that panel in place. Now, once all the panels are in place, I can go ahead and install my outer gable. The outer gable has a hem here and a kick out here. This hem is designed to hook onto my inner gable, and this comes across the top of the inner gable and down the fascia. So the way I install this is I open up my hem a little bit so I can grab the inner gable, hook it on the roof, and put it in place. Now, if I'm in a high wind area, I can fasten through the face of the inner gable into the fascia with my color match screws. If it's not a high wind area, I can just go ahead and use a color match screw down through the top of the inner gable and the outer gable to hold it in place. Here we also have, in this same shot, I've got the transition of the gable end to a wall. So there's two ways to transition from a roof slope to a wall. And one is simply to use inner gable again. Again, you can see here's my inner gable, here's the water lock, and then I've got sidewall flashing right here where I've opened up the 90-degree bend to be at the roof slope. So first thing I do is I install my inner gable all the way up to the spot where the roof and the wall meet. I've opened up the water lock here so that this inner gable will lay flat, and then I've opened up the water lock here so that any water that blows into this inner gable can come out here and run down this inner gable and go out the bottom. So now, when you want to transition a roof, in other words, change roof slopes, use the same part that you can use at an end wall, or we call it end wall flashing, but instead of going to a vertical wall, we're just going to a steeper sloped roof section. So the sequence is simple: Presidio tile panel, transition flashing, underlayment, and then you start a new row of tile panels. Now you might be looking at this thinking, well, why didn't you just start with a factory edge here at the transition? Most of the time you're going to be able to do that, but sometimes you need to line the courses up with the adjacent roof section.